What's up, you guys? I'm Dr. Nick. Welcome to the Soul Circle, where we have 4 amazing podiatrists. We're going to answer foot questions, talk about foot health, and get to the most common problems that we all see as podiatrists. All right, we're going to call this next segment the pain point. And I don't know if you guys are anything like me, but there's nothing worse than walking into the room and you introduce yourself and you're like, "Hi, I'm Dr. Nip. What are you here to see us for?" "Oh, my foot hurts. You're the doc. You figure it out." Yeah, I know your foot pain, but what are you actually here to see us for? So sometimes I'll just tell my patient, take one finger, point to your foot, and probably a common spot is the forefoot. So let's talk about pain to your forefoot. Dr. Sarah, I'm looking right at you again, so I'm going to lead it off to you with forefoot pain. So what could it be? What could be?
This is my world. This is my world. I did a fellowship specifically in the second metatarsal, right? So like everyone wants to talk about bursitis, metatarsalgia, plantar plate is a fun hot spot topic. My patients come to me and they love to say like they feel like a sock is balled up under their second toe, and they feel like the sock is like scrunched. So I'm like, okay, we'll take an x-ray, and I look at the parabola. The parabola is like where the bones hit on the foot, right? So like you have your big toe, usually it's like, say, it's kind of like your hand, right? It sits here, your second toe is usually longer. So say it's 4 millimeters longer. It usually predisposes you to some kind of plantar plate injury. So in that world, it usually kind of guides me down toward the path of a PowerStep with specifically a metatarsal pad. People love to buy over-the-counter stuff, but they don't know what they're buying. So they put it in the wrong places. And that's why I see the most of it. They're like, "I put the pad under the pain spot." I'm like, "You're doing the wrong thing."
Yes, you should metatarsal pad. What's a metatarsal pad?
So a metatarsal pad is a tear-shaped drop. I don't know. It looks like it's, I don't know, a little tear. Goes under the ball of the foot. So you want to actually not go under the actual bones of the foot. You want to go behind. Trying to educate people on that is the bane of my existence. Just because people put it in the wrong place. But I think that really offloading that is a game changer for a lot of people.
Yeah, when I try to explain to patients that you don't pad a painful area, you take the weight off of that painful area so it's not being pressed on as hard. Again, it's about, like we said earlier, the education. Educating the patients on what we're trying to accomplish. We're trying to take the weight off of that area. And do you agree?
Absolutely. Completely offloading is key. In fact, if they're at home but not taking out just the line, whatever, or there's an insole in the shoe itself, take it out, and then I put lipstick on the painful area and then match it up, have them stand even in the shoe. And so then they take off a shoe.
I like
Lipstick. Yeah.
I use a Sharpie, but we'll go with lipstick.
Oh, I get it. So you're putting it on the pain.
They're not kissing their...
And there's
worried.
just offload that at home, even with just the liner in the shoe. I mean, it's super simple, and it really makes a big difference.
So we're all big on education. When you're talking to your patient about this, Dr. Sarah, you brought up plantar plate problems, bursitis, metatarsalgia. How far into that do you go, or do you just try to offload it at first and see what happens?
Obviously, you look at the architecture, like what's happening with the toe. Is it a hammer toe? Is it causing the metatarsal to plantar flex? Truly, what are their goals? Do you want surgery right out the gate, or do you want to kind of try conservative things to take the pressure off?
So, Dr. Sarah, I'm going to come to you on this one because you brought it up, and I'm big on urban legends. Do you think there's a such thing as bursitis of the metatarsal, or is it just something when we don't know what's causing that pain, we call it bursitis?
People love bursitis. It's like all encompassing. They're like, "Oh, if my patient comes in, they're like, I have a neuroma diagnosed by another doctor and I got 16 injections." So I'm like, excellent. So you probably don't have a plantar plate any longer, but you now also have bursitis. I think bursitis is the catch-all term, and people don't know exactly what to use. They just use bursitis, and that's fine.
Shoulder bursitis, hip bursitis. It's just a common buzzword.
Which is fine. So there's usually an underlying thing. So either like maybe there's no fat pad left because you had 16 injections, or maybe the metatarsal is actually plantar flex, and we're misdiagnosing that because you actually have a biomechanical abnormality. Maybe your forefoot intrinsic vasculature is weak. All of those things make a big difference, and it's something because we don't walk around, I don't know, crunching for berries and like walking barefoot and then grabbing things with our toes pretty long. So I think we do have intrinsic musculature weakness, which I think does lead down the path to plantar plate disruption.
Fruits of the forest, walking around. You're at a fruits of the forest pie. You know what that is?
No, you can educate me.
It's like a berry. Have you ever picked blackberries? On your fruits of the forest, right? I pick them in my hands, though.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not sure my.
Now with your feet?
If you use the spokes on the bushes, you can.
Oh yeah. First I'm learning. I think what's important about bursitis in the forefoot is having visual aids to help your patients understand what is going on, and having a PowerStep orthotic with a pad that's right there, you can explain to them what that pad is going to do to make them feel better. Having a device and just a visual aid, because I know I'm a very visual person. I don't want anybody to lecture to me. So again, my education of the patient is very minimal. So I want to make sure they understand that, put it in layman's terms, but then have a visual aid to explain exactly what I'm trying to accomplish. And I think that...
You told your X-ray? Because I did that digitally.
Oh,
point
100%.
measure and just
So the greatest thing is having, digital x-rays on my iPad and like, here's your problem. Just like we were talking earlier with the heel spur. Like, here's the problem. And it's not the bone that hurts. I always try to explain to patients, like when it came to heel spurs, it wasn't the bone that hurts. It's the inflammation around it and what we're going to do to help support the foot with the proper orthotic to take, because the bone's never going to go away.
So what about people that have pain under their second MPJ from a rigid great toe? So they're not having pain to their great toe. Their great toe's not even moving, but they're getting pain to their second toe. How are you implementing it for an orthotic, or how are you treating that in your practice?
I'm going to go a step back because I still want to talk about the inserts that I do. I know I'm annoying, but I like the second metatarsal thing is a big conversation topic, right? And I feel like what I do like about specifically PowerStep is like it's already ingrained in their products. So like my patient doesn't have to go home, buy it over the counter and figure out where to put the pad in.
Right.
It's already pre-built into the PowerStep orthotic, and it's already pre-populated to go behind, because it's not like you just buy like a free form, you have to go cut it at home. It's already sized out for that patient.
Correct.
So it's already where it's supposed to be. It makes it so simple. So they take out the liner of their shoe, they put this in, and usually people get relief and they're happier. They can go back to their life without the pain, without an injection, without any of that fun stuff. And they get treatment, they get what they need. So going to your question, yes, sorry.
I can't even remember what my question was.
So when you have foot pain in the ball of the foot, and like it's actually stemming from the big toe arthritis. So when you have big toe arthritis, it means the two bones are grinding together. You're losing the cushion between the toes, what I try to explain to my patients. But then if you look at the x-ray with the patient, the metatarsal of the first is so thick and so robust. Then you move to the second and it's so skinny.
Right.
So what happens is like that big toe gets arthritic, and your natural movement is to walk away from it, which overloads the second and then predisposes you to a plantar plate dislocation or a dislocation syndrome. So I put people in a custom orthotic, or what's now available with PowerStep is a Morton's extension. I was very excited to help with this because it's a huge thing that I see in my practice every day.
How do you explain to people what that extension does for them?
Does it give them more time? Is that what it is?
Yes, it buys them time, right? So like most people come in, they don't want surgery, right? Like when people are like, I'm going on vacation with my kids to Disney.
Next week.
Yes, next week.
Next week. Makes me feel better now.
So like a Morton's extension is, I describe it as like a foam finger that goes under your big toe and doesn't bend. So carbon fiber is like the car hood. It doesn't bend. And so I put it under their big toe to help propagate their propulsion forward, to help move them forward without bending their big toe, giving them that pain relief that they actually need.
And it doesn't make them roll over onto the side, which gives them additional pain.
It eliminates the compensation.
Right.
Exactly. So the way I described it, it's like you heel to toe off, right? Well, you can't, because you go heel to toe jam. So then you invert the forefoot, and again, loading the second metatarsal.
We talked about bunions earlier, and some patients will say, well, first of all, I believe that a structural deformity needs to be corrected structurally. Now, that doesn't mean you always have to correct them structurally with surgery. And there will be patients that can't have surgery and patients that have to postpone it or put it off. And I think that's where the Morton's extension comes in my practice, because I'll explain to them, the more you bend that great toe joint with the bunion, which is already arthritic by definition of bunion, is arthritis. If you can put that extension in and control some of that motion, it'll reduce the arthritic component of that bunion, so that when we do come back and fix it 5 years later, it's not as bad and we can still get them great result.
And what's really interesting is that people don't realize that some of their foot pain that they have on another portion of their foot other than the big toe is still related to their big toe. If their big toe is so rigid that it doesn't move anymore, that's not going to be painful, but it's causing problems in other areas.
Right.
So they have to understand, again, by visual aids, what's going on with their foot. And if you do that, again, it's about providing them the right solution, the education, the right solution for the underlying cause of their foot pain.
So we keep using the word Morton's. Morton's neuroma, Morton's extension, Morton's toe, right? Isn't that when your second toe is longer, you're more educated?
Yeah, I believe
Smartest one in the family? Or
Right.
just say you were toe or something. How long is your second toe, Dr. Bass?
Not as long as Dr. Hollis and Dr. Fools. And you are far superior to us.
I have a callus on the end of my
Yours sticks out the end of your shoe.
Cut a little hole out. How about they do for bunions? Just let it hang out.
So if we talk about Morton's neuroma, what is a Morton's neuroma? You mentioned that the sock bunched up feeling. I think we all know Morton's neuroma, but let's educate those patients out there that might not know what a neuroma is and what we can do to try to get them some relief. Dr. Truls?
Essentially, a neuroma is an enlargement of the nerve. Typically, structurally, there's something going on creating a that's a hard word to say, compensation to the foot. So anyway, it's kind of pinching that nerve and creates a reaction. You get a lot of inflammation, the nerve gets larger and larger and larger. And then it's basically a space occupying lesion. So then once you're walking, it's just irritating. And that's where the ball of the foot, whatever you said, it's like it's rolled up. I immediately pop neuropathy. I never really think about that descriptor for a neuroma. So that was interesting. But anyway, you can have shooting pains with the toes, up the foot. It's just really irritated. People love to take their shoes off and kind of massage and move it around just to give them some more room. So highly recommend a wide shoe for that.
I think this is the greatest analogy because we live in New Jersey and so I live right by the Holland Tunnel. So right where the 1 and 9 comes in, where the turnpike meets it, is like this confluence of massive amounts of traffic every day that I hit. That's like the medial plantar and the lateral plantar nerve that innervate between the 2, 3rd, and 4th metatarsals, which is the most common place for neuroma to happen.
Right.
So it's because these two nerves come together and merge, and it comes together between these two bones, and between those two bones, it just kind of pinches the two, which is just a traffic jam. So I try to explain that to my patients and just explain it like that.
That's great.
I know exactly where that
I
is.
can't use that in Kentucky.
No, yeah. This is a Holland Tunnel issue. They really get put in infrastructure.
I think what's important for that is to make sure, people come in and say, I have a tumor on my foot.
Yes.
Tumor, right?
Right, they hear nerve tumor, but when you take it down and make it on their level, they completely understand it now. It's a nerve.
Yeah.
But what's important before we you jump in, I try to make patients understand. The funny thing is, it's not a nerve problem. It's a structural problem. It's educating them on their foot structure and why we need to provide them with the right type of device, like a PowerStep with a metatarsal pad in it, to provide some extra space in there so that nerve can calm down.
That was what I was going to interject with. How does that metatarsal pad fix a neuroma, and does it always work?
It's a loaded question.
Exactly. Always. Never use the word. Never use always.
It usually works, but at the same time, it also depends on what kind of shoes you're wearing. You know what I mean? Like, I am a notorious person to wear bad shoes, right? Like when I go out on the weekends, it's on it, so I'm not gonna lie, right? But like women's shoes are not obviously nice wide toe boxes like men always get. Women's have like these narrow pointy things which compresses all of the cuffle. So like I think on the weekends is where I wear like my open-toed shoes. I elevate my metatarsals and open things up. Let things hang out. So I think it does work when you're wearing the right shoes.
I mean, it happens to me when I wear my stilettos, but that we digress.
So the way I look at it is like a bucket. If you've made a bad decision,
Right past
like
that.
yesterday, it's going to, dump in that bucket. And you make another bad decision. You're going barefoot. You wear the wrong shoe. It's too flexible and flimsy. And so all of that just adds up to inflammation. So if you can minimize those triggers and just kind of be smart about what you're doing, what shoe you have on for that occasion, I mean, it really mitigates foot pain in general.
Yeah. Well, just talking about foot pain brings up the topic of shoes. And the question always arises, can you tell a lot about a patient by looking at their foot? Or can you tell a lot about a patient by looking at their shoes?
Yes and yes, without a doubt.
Let's hear it, Dr. Bass.
So shoes, I mean, people will come in with foot pain and the first thing I'll do is, let's take a break for a second. And I look down and I look at shoes and they're broken down and they're worn out. And I pick up their sneaker and it's completely flat on the bottom. I know that they've been overusing these shoes that is most likely is a leading cause to whatever foot problem they have. And then taking their shoe and then looking at their foot, they usually go hand in hand, 100%.
But they're,
you know,
I don't wear these every day. I'm just serious. Yes,
that's it.
That's what you do. Look at the shoes. They lie anyway. I guess I'm going to the orthodontist and.
Right.
I
really
would
sorry.
irritate you.
I really do, but I forgot it.
right.
Yeah. No.
Like
it's-
when they-
I don't look at it. I mean, I'm like,
Like
okay.
when the patients came in and like, I just threw these on to come and see you.
So easy to slip on.
Okay,
I was
sure.
Like, coming here.
Right.
I didn't wear my compression socks.
Right.
I always
You're
yeah,
like,
thank God it finds you snowing on me. You know, just take them off.
Yeah, but shoes are a big predictor of what's going on in the foot.
What about just looking at their foot, for Sarah?
Oh, yeah.
Is that what you're saying about the patient?
I mean, people come in and like it's I don't know, it's a whole different conversation. But the calluses that people have on their feet. And I'm not looking at calluses for just like calluses. I'm saying like the pattern of where your calluses are. Tell me about your foot shape. And that's what people don't understand. They're like, oh, I went to the pedicurist before I got here just to make sure my foot looks cute. I'm like, I don't care what your foot looks like, because at the end of the day, I'm trying to look at that because it's like context clues for me. Like if you have a a callus under your big toe and your fifth and on your lateral heel, I'm like, oh, you have a Pegasus type foot. Like I know that.
I wish they would have came in before the
I
pedicure.
do
Exactly.
because it's like it's intuitive. Those are the things that actually help me map out what I'm going to do for you to help you.
And I think a patient's not going to come in and say, I have a high arched cavus foot. They're going to come in and say, I have a callus under my fifth metatarsal. What can you do to help me? Can't have surgery. I need to offload it. And that's for sometimes we can put something into the shoe.
Yeah.
Help with that.
Absolutely. I feel like it's so underrated. People are like, oh, I've tried over the counter. No. But like you need a specialty over the counter. That's what they'll do. You like they'll put like throat tab. Yeah, low lats. It's gonna help.
Gets the
Like
pressure.
that really controls the rear foot support. So ideally, you're more neutral when you are going to toe off, as opposed to, of course, being inverted.
Handle that.
Great dialogue. Well, that wraps up segment 2, and we're going to rapidly head into segment 3. I won't tell you what that one is either. So stay